We're going to use a different vantage point. I'm using my ladder and a stool, and a coffee cup to prop my phone up in the shade. I'm going to go work on this. This is a 2023 International. Alright, here we go. Gonna do an International. Start to finish, this one's going to take about 23 minutes. When we have two competent installers working on this, we could do them in like 10 minutes. But today, we were a little busy, so it's just going to be me. You'll see me there pulling that piece of glass off the van. As mentioned in previous videos, we call our vans rolling warehouses. We, generally speaking, carry as much glass as possible. We have software that tracks exactly how many windshields we install per year and how many are the most common, and that's what we try to carry on our vans so that we can do any and everybody at the drop of a hat. We get calls on a daily basis in the middle of doing other windshields, and they're like, hey, we need a windshield. Here's what we got. And we're like, we'll be there shortly. Everybody loves that. But the name is Fast Glass, and Fast Glass is the name of the game. What I'm doing here, same as before, is I'm prepping the glass first before we do anything on anything, whether it's a truck, a car, personal vehicle, etc. We look at the glass, make sure everything's 100%, so that if there's any problems, we haven't touched or removed the windshield out of the vehicle, causing a delay, especially if it's a truck or car that's going to sit there and wait and wait and wait until we get back with the glass. So first thing we always do is take the stickers, everything off, inspect the glass. If everything's good, we move forward. Next process on this vehicle, it is a glue-in windshield for this International, is to flip the glass over after we put the suction cups on, and we do a deep clean process. We use a special formulated cleaner. There used to be a cleaner that we used called Beta Braid for our glue that was made by the same company, formulated to remove any grime or oils or anything else from the manufacture process off of the windshield before we do an install, so that the glue will stick and not break loose at some point in the future. They stopped making that and said, oh, it's okay, just use some scrubbers and it'll work. We disagree, so we have made our own formula. It's a combination of Gojo and some other chemicals to be a oil busting chemical to be able to remove any manufacturing oils and silicone from the windshield. So what I do is apply a small bead of the formula around the edge of the glass where the glue is going to stick, and then I use a little Scotch-Brite pad and I scrub in a circular motion to kind of scrub it as hard as possible, just like you would your hands. If you've ever used Fast Orange or any other brand, Gojo, etc., it kind of breaks down the chemicals on your hand. It fights, kind of like Dawn soap, the oils in your hands, and gets it so where it's not attached to the glass anymore. Then we go back with a glass cleaner and clean all that off of there to get a good, perfectly clean surface. Right now, as mentioned before, this isn't my van. Don't know where anything is, so I'm wandering around looking for stuff. But ultimately, what I'm going to do is clean it with glass cleaner after doing that Gojo scrubbing solution to make sure that the bonding surface on the glass is perfectly clean from any contaminants, so that the glass will stick as intended. I like GC800 personally. It's an ammonia-based glass cleaner. There are others like Spray Away and other glass cleaners out there that aren't ammonia-based, but the ammonia-based glass cleaner is wet enough that you can scrub on it with a paper towel and it dries pretty quickly after you get done wiping it down, whereas the Spray Away stays wet longer, seems to leave more smears. Personally, other installers of mine like the Spray Away better than the GC800. So either way, give it a nice clean, all surfaces of the glass, mostly focusing on the outside where the cleaner was just applied, and then scrub down the middle of the windshield. Purpose of doing that on a glass that's going to be installed with glue is so that there's no need to clean the inside of the glass after we install it. On a gasket set windshield, you can scrub the inside of the windshield no problem. There's nothing that's going to be contaminated or distorted or anything when you clean the inside of a gasket set. But when you're cleaning the inside of a glue set, there's glue around the edges. You could accidentally hit it with your paper towel and spread the glue on the windshield or cause a leak or many other things. So what we try to do is get the glass perfectly clean on the inside before we set the glass for a smooth process. What I did there that you just saw is I used a clear primer. It's more or less an activator. What it does is chemically etches the glass so that the glue will stick to it. And here I come to give you an update. New windshield's prepped and ready. Now we're going to start cutting out the old one. Get ready to put it in. That fancy tool I have in my hand is an extractor. It is a DeWalt based tool that's been modified for the auto glass industry. What it does, if you ever look at a Sawzall, reciprocating saw, whatever you want to call it, they usually have a 3/4 inch throw of the blade that reciprocates back and forth for the sawing motion. And what has been done to this tool is it's been adapted for the auto glass industry to reciprocate back and forth with the flat blade that we use, and it's only 1/4 of an inch or less. So what it does is it's more or less a putty knife that has a short throw reciprocating motion that we put behind the glass to push through the glue and ultimately cut it to make the removal of this windshield significantly faster than using any other method. There are lots of other methods to removing windshields, but this one for this particular truck and a lot of other trucks tend to be the best in the market. Other companies like Safelite and many other large corporations that have done glass over the years have banned this tool, because with this tool you can do a lot of damage to whatever vehicle you're working on. If you're not careful and don't use common sense, you can cut body seams, cut wires, cut many other things, scratch really bad, do significant damage to vehicles, semis, etc. And so being careful and using the proper skill and technique using this tool makes life a lot simpler, but it can also make life pretty miserable when you have to call your boss and tell him you just did several $1,000s worth of damage to a vehicle. On this International, there are door seals that once the doors are open, you can expose and remove the door seals. So once we do that, exposes the edge of the windshield. Using the soap and water combination, we spray down the interior of the windshield for the blade to run through smoothly and not overheat. But also on the sides of the International, we're able to spray on the outside as well to give just that little bit extra lubricant to be able to make the blade run smoothly through the cutting process. The technique that I use here is pretty quick. I mean, you can cut out an International windshield or Kenworth or many others in a matter of a couple of minutes versus using a string tool, which might take 15 to 20 minutes to get set up and get the windshield completely removed. Almost done. I'm cutting on the other side where you can't see me, so sorry for the lack of something to see. But I'm cutting out the passenger side, doing the A-pillars first as usual, and then I finish the bottom and then finish the top. So pretty soon you'll see me push it on the windshield to verify that it's completely loose. And once that happens, the windshield's completely out. It's time to put the tools away and get ready to prep the windshield for install. I'll mention as well that this is the second windshield today that I did for Swift. Swift is one of our biggest customers. They have somewhere in the neighborhood of 15,000 trucks on the road in the United States. And we are one of the companies that keeps them on the road with fresh glass. In the United States, for commercial transportation, DOT regulates that there can't be chips in the driver's view or any cracks in the windshield. So they end up calling us to do repairs all the time. One of my key things that I like to do and tell all the guys is once you're done with the tool, put it back in the toolbox. For personal experience, our footprint is 2 hours in diameter. If you set a tool down, you might forget it, and it would not be very fun to have to drive an hour back to the previous job to do a windshield. It's hard to do windshields without tools, I'll tell you that. Personal experience. I personally have left tools and moved on to the next job, and when I got there, realized I was missing a tool. I did it the hard way, because doing it the hard way is better than admitting that you made a mistake, and you got to go back and get the piece of machinery off the previous job. So yeah, it's been fun, 10 years. Same as usual, I lean the windshield up against the truck to save a step. I'm doing it by myself. Normally, if I had a helper with me, I would have handed that windshield to him. He would have taken it and put it on the truck or thrown it in a dumpster. The next step is to cut the old glue off of the truck. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick. It's squished down from when the windshield was set last. It's important to cut it down as cleanly as possible, not have any overlaps, not have any weird edges or seams in it so that it doesn't cause a leak in the future. We use a razor blade on a handheld device to be able to do that. Climb carefully over the truck, not stepping on anything to break anything, and cut it all the way around. I usually can get it off in one piece. As mentioned in other previous videos, when you're climbing over the engine compartment in a semi, there are sensors, there's pipes that are brittle, and many other things that can break and cause significant damage. And when I say significant, I mean monetarily. We have a couple of times damaged a radiator by stepping on a hose and breaking a nipple off the radiator, so we definitely try to be careful. It's like walking across a landmine to get to the other side of the truck. Sometimes it's not worth it, and we just climb down and move to the other side and climb back up again. But in this case, Volvos are pretty good. Internationals are pretty good. It's more modern trucks that have issues. You'll see me here wiping down the bead. Once I scrape it off of there, making sure there's not any excess water, any clumps of dirt, anything like that. We want a good clean surface for the glue to stick to. Contaminants will cause glue failure, and this customer will call us back with a water leak. So we usually try to do a good clean job. Again, putting the windshield back on the van just long enough to get done with the job, and then I'll drive straight to the dumpster and dump all my trash, because there's no reason to carry around a bunch of broken windshields. Next step is get the glue gun out. So we keep a glue gun. We use Milwaukee glue guns now. We have used Ryobi in the past, and we've also used DeWalt, but right now we've got some Ryobi glue guns. They got a variable speed trigger. I'm not any good with the variable speed trigger, so I end up turning my gun down to slow-mo. Slow is better than a sloppy bead. We're in the home stretch now. Once we apply the glue, we've got 5 to 10 minutes to set it.
Got my glue gun here.
For an update.
We're only 13.5 minutes in.
Personally, I like to apply the glue bead across the top in one straight shot, so I usually perch myself somewhere in the top middle of the motor, and then I run the bead from the passenger side all the way across to the driver's side, so that there's not any possibility of a glue seam in the middle of the windshield. Glue seams tend to leak more, especially if you don't smear the glue together at the seam. So I try to eliminate that possibility by making the glue all the way across the top in one straight shot. I'd rather have the glue seam on the side or on the bottom. So you'll see me here, and I come and I round the corner, go all the way down. One tube of glue typically fits about half the windshield, so it takes 2 tubes per glass, and we shoot a straight bead as far as we can, and then once we get to the end of the tube, we kind of just give a yank on it. You'll see me here at the very end to leave a kind of tapered bead to where we can start the new tube or end the new tube right on top of that with a seamless seam. We use the most expensive glue on the market, Dow Express 30. It's a 30-minute drive time. So the manufacturer specification is that the glue will be dried to 95% within 30 minutes. So it's safe to drive. A lot of other glass companies would rather use less glue to try to squeeze a little bit more profit out of their process. But our motto and our plan has always been, especially for trucking companies, that we want these trucks back on the road as soon as possible. That's how they make their money. They're not making any money sitting here getting a windshield put in or sitting in a shop getting any maintenance done. They get paid by the miles these trucks run. So getting this truck back on the road as fast as possible is our goal. We used Sika a long time ago as our supplier, and we used Mach 60, which is a 60-minute set time. We were having too many problems with leaks and comebacks, and the Dow representative happened to come by and see us, and we decided to give him a shot, and we haven't turned back, and it's been about 8 years. The previous video, this part got missed, but this is how I climb on a truck, balancing that windshield over my shoulder, and it's a little precarious, but it's not too bad. One thing I like about Swift trucks is they don't have visors. Visors are a big problem when it comes to setting windshields by yourself. But without the visor in the way, International has set blocks. You can kind of set it right on top of the set blocks and just let it fall. And it falls right into place. And then it's a matter of pushing it down into the glue, making sure it's set really good. Shouldn't have any leaks. Instead of climbing back over this time, I decided to move the ladder and climb back up the other side. Gets kind of tedious to climb over top of the minefield every once in a while. So in this particular case, I decided to climb up there and make sure it was set on the other side before taking the suction cups off. And as I said before, there I am taking my tools back to the van. Don't set them down, you'll forget them. You can see there that my glass cleaner had fallen off the truck, and so I crawled under the truck to grab it real quick. But as I did on the Volvo earlier, spray it down, clean it off. Inside's already been cleaned, so we're just making sure the outside's clean. We're going to put the wiper back on. Internationals are pretty easy. They snap on like a Ford. You just put them on there and they snap right on. Much easier than with a socket. Kenworth and Volvo have sockets. Internationals have the snap-on wipers. Cascadias are also snap-on. So we get a lot of variety. This particular truck has a drive camera as well that the company wanted installed. I took it off the windshield, I put it back on the windshield. If it's hanging, I don't put it back. If it's there and we take it off, we put it back. So it is a H-bracket mounted camera that is for watching the road in front of you, as well as a camera pointed on the inside. It's like a combination camera. So we put those back in the same place we took them off of. A lot of trucks have pre-passes, GPS, other things that need to be mounted back on. There's that door seal I mentioned earlier I took off. So I'm just getting that door seal and putting it back on. It's one of the last final touches to finish this job up.
Sorry, phone started ringing.
Yes, I almost fell off that truck. It happens. sometimes I move a little faster than my feet. What I'm doing now is mounting that camera that we discussed. Should just take a few seconds. Scrape the old double sticky tape off of the camera, make sure it's good mating surface. Rip off some pieces of 3M double sticky tape, and then press it back up against the new windshield. The funny thing about the Express 30 that we use is about 5 minutes after we set that windshield, you're going to have to cut it back out again. It sets that fast. Once the mating surface has met the glue, it starts to cure instantly. It's a chemical reaction, and I've run into it before where 10 minutes after we installed, I needed to pull a glass back out, and I had to get my tools back out and do it the old-fashioned way. This truck did have a pre-pass in it that was just laying on the dash, and it already had the Velcro installed on it. I just put it back on the dash so they can install it where they want. Like I said, we put what is on the windshield back on the windshield, and if they don't have it set on there, I leave it so that they can install it where they want to. This is my third install today, solo. I did a Cascadia. You can see behind this International there's a Volvo. I did that as well in a previous video. And then I'm finishing out the day with an International. Not too bad. Picking up all my garbage, putting all my tools away. The job is complete. Saturdays is one of my favorite days to work. The phone does ring, but not very often, so it's go out, get your work done, and go home.
Well, there you have it.
Don't have the hustle and
Start to
bustle
finish,
during the week.
22 minutes. 23 minutes, sorry. And that was a 2023 International LT. Volvo 2022, just did that a few minutes ago.